It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and I'll bring us our quick tip of the week. I was looking to try and figure out why my iPhone's battery usage was, or battery, drain was higher than I would have liked. And I went into settings, battery on my iPhone, and of course it shows you the percentage used. However, you can tap on the top of that column and change it to the time used. It will still remain sorted by its interpretation of percentage used, putting that at the top. So go ahead and scroll down, and you might find some things way down the list that show hours of background time. And those things can chew your battery more than you might imagine. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1079 for Monday, March 3rd, National If Pets Had Thumbs Day 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in tips like that. We bring in tips like that. You send in cool stuff found. We share cool stuff found. You send in questions. We answer your questions. The goal being each and every one of us learning 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode include new sponsor. Not a phone. No. New sponsor, ScreenCastsOnline.com/MGG, where you can get a lifetime 20% discount on your subscription. And also FactorMeals.com/FactorPodcast, where you can get 50% off your first box. We'll talk more about those in a little bit. And I want your feedback. We're always iterating, of course, how we do the show. And I want your feedback on an experiment we're trying with the ads. As you know, we have ChatGPT write every one of our ad scripts and have it add some funny things in there that it forces us to say, and we all like to do that together. What we've done for years is put the ads, if we had 2 ad sponsors like we do here, we would just do them back to back. If we had 3, we would do them back to back to back. If we had 4, we would do back to back in one and then back to back in another. And what we've started trying over the last couple of weeks is only doing one sponsor per each of those little moments where we get to talk about our sponsors and spacing them out through the show. So I want your feedback on that. Feedback at MacGeekGab.com. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here, also in New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete. If pets had thumbs, I think mine would either hitchhike or be 300 pounds because she'd take the lid off of the biscuit jar.
It'd be definitely the latter. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a dangerous thing. So no opposable thumbs is a good thing. But because then they might be able to, I don't know, put together bombs and kill us, and then we would have to have 1079 police code, notify the coroner, or bomb threat.
Yeah.
That was actually awfully belabored. And sorry about that. And clearly we need a new item on the pre-flight checklist to put Debbie's work phone on Do Not Disturb.
That is fair. There you go.
Oh, man. There we go. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe we should get into some...
I want to talk about our monthly giveaway. I want to acknowledge that Adam is not here today. He's got a theater show going on. And
we aren't just talking over him.
No. Adam is taking today off from recording to focus on getting this theater show up and running that he's doing. So we'll be able to hear about that from him next week. We are now in March. So we have a new giveaway, and it is, you get to win one of 5 copies of Unite version 6 from BZG Apps, which adds lots of new features and solves the issue of not being able to put Google Docs in as their own apps into Unite, which means it unlocks the keys for me to be able to upgrade the studio machine to macOS 15, because I couldn't do that because of the way they broke Google Docs, the way Apple broke Google Docs in web apps in macOS 15 compared to macOS 14. But Unite sidesteps that issue now, and I am actually doing this show with Unite 6 running the Mac Geek Gab timestamps, document that I have up, or the chapters document, I should say. The timestamps I do in BB Edit, but the chapters document is up in a Unite window. So yeah, make sure to go to macgeekgab.com/giveaway and sign up to win one of 5 copies of that. All right. Yeah. Now we can move on here, Pete. Should we, you want to take us to Scott?
We can do that. Now is the time that we do the quick tips, and Scott writes in, and this leads to a rather rough discussion we're going to have later in the show. Having nothing to do with this, but he goes, look, ChatGPT has been my go-to source of information when writing scripts, keyboard maestro macros, or getting detailed help with a particular app. I recently had an occasion to attempt a complex file moving process and use ChatGPT to help me with some keyboard maestro steps that were a little confusing. I was overcomplicating things. Instead of a macro to watch a folder and see if a file has been downloaded and then move it to another folder, I use sync time. What I then did was upload a list of all my apps to ChatGPT and told ChatGPT to look at all my available apps for solutions in the future. Man, that's brilliant. ChatGPT came back to me with some additional solutions for my file moving task immediately with 2 other apps I already had, although the sync time was still the easiest and most effective. The point is that ChatGPT knows about what apps and tools you have available and can more effectively help you. You can use the terminal command to create this list of apps on your computer in a text file that gets placed on your desktop. And we'll put that terminal command in the show notes. I changed it slightly to sudo because I had some permissions denied. I have application subfolders on a few things, and I think SetApp is an example. They put their apps in their own subfolder. So I wanted it to get those listed as well, and that's when I started getting some permissions denied. So I used super user do sudo command to make this command work better for me. And then he says, then I uploaded that text file that it creates to ChatGPT to tell it what applications I have and search all the features of all those apps and helping you with solutions in the future. It has already proven helpful in another task I queried ChatGPT about since uploading this file. In other words, it keeps me from getting caught. Scott,
nice.
Man, what a great idea, Scott.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And we will put that there's a command in the show notes at macgeekgab.com. It basically just takes a directory listing and saves it out to a text file. It's nothing. If you are terminal savvy and want to roll your own, that's what it's doing. It's just taking the list of apps and putting it out with LS-R and putting it out into a text file. I love that idea. The more information we can give to ChatGPT or whichever LLM we're choosing to use, the better. I was actually having a conversation with ChatGPT about this the other night on my way somewhere. I forget where I was driving, but I was just talking with ChatGPT. One of the things, as an aside, that I like about the voice mode with ChatGPT is that. Sorry, my candle just burned out. I don't know what that means here. Pete,
show's over,
that's
folks.
That's going to change everything about
Moose
the show.
out front should have told you.
I know. That's right. The moose out front. One of the things that I like about that is, I start the conversation going, and it, will interact. It'll give me some information. Yeah. I'll prompt it more, answer its questions. Do whatever I need to do. But unlike a conversation with most humans, certainly if you pave this path with someone, you could do the same thing. I find that I had to remember that it is not expecting a response from me immediately. I can take 5 minutes while I'm driving in silence to think and formulate my response. I don't need to fill the air. It's not awkward for ChatGPT to not get a reply from me, right away. And so I've found that I can really kind of think and be thoughtful. It's not like podcasting where too much dead air.
Dead air.
gets
as
weird.
evidenced earlier.
As evidenced by our pre-show. Yeah. So that part was interesting, but I was asking it, how can I, if I were willing to forego any privacy concerns or be aware of them, eyes wide open as we always are, how could I get an LLM like ChatGPT or any other to look at my entire email archive and use that as data to help me, right? Because what I really want is for it to know everything that I know. Right now, like, I don't know how you would go about doing that, but certainly for me, my email archive of received and sent email over, even if I just put the last 5 years in, would paint a not inaccurate picture, right? It would be mildly incomplete because it doesn't include all of the conversations that I've had with people and the thoughts that I've had that I didn't capture anywhere. But it would be a way to do it. And so I was having this conversation with ChatGPT. It did not know of anything in particular that would really be able to kind of digest that unless you rolled your own LLM, of course. But
so you're just making it larger, giving it more data. So
yeah,
which begs me the question: if you're sitting there for 5 minutes, does ChatGPT help you engage with the road rage? What's that? Jerk doing? ChatGPT will say, why he cut you off.
That's right. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to know?
I actually just find that I sit in silence and think. Yeah. And sometimes my mind meanders and it's like, oh, wait, I still have ChatGPT open. Right. I can start a new conversation with it. I can say, all right, thank you for that. New topic. And it'll say, great, what's the new topic? And then we go off on whatever tangent that is. So
and that actually begs the next question that I have. And this is the one thing, and it's kind of a geek challenge here. If you have an answer, send it to feedback@macgeekgab.com. It's how many times do I have to tell ChatGPT to give me something one step at a time? I've literally taken to swearing at ChatGPT because I'll go, I'll ask for something. Yeah, let's do this one step at a time. And we get through.
Have you tried going into ChatGPT settings, and you can do this on the web or in the app, but ChatGPT settings, personalization, customize ChatGPT, you can turn that on, and then in there, it asks you, what's your name? What do you do? And most importantly, what traits should ChatGPT have? And I found out about this from my son because he was doing something with ChatGPT and it gave him a very concise answer. And then at the end, it said, in my opinion. And I was like, wait, how does your ChatGPT articulate its opinions? He says, I told it to. And so I will put in the show notes what he has put here, but actually, you know what? I'm going to put a link to this. I'll put it in the MGG AI section of our Discord so that we can all kind of discuss this. But essentially what he wrote, and I think he said he had ChatGPT help him craft this, which is super meta. I love. But respond with a precise, concise, and accurate tone. Focus on delivering clear and direct answers while avoiding unnecessary elaboration or repetition. Use structured formats such as bullet points, numbered lists, or short paragraphs where appropriate. Prioritize clarity and relevance, ensuring responses stay on topic and align with the query's intent. Tailor the explanation to be universally understandable, avoiding excessive jargon unless explicitly requested. Be opinionated and prepared to support your opinions. Always state and make clear what statements are opinion and not objective fact. And putting that into ChatGPT has changed it dramatically for me. So, Pete, you could put in there something that says, if you're giving me steps to do something in a voice prompt, make sure to do them one by one. And that might solve your problem.
I put it in as we speak. Give me only one step at a time unless I ask for all of them specifically up front.
Yep.
But I'm going to go back and get what you are putting in the show notes and stick that in there as well. And that's under, settings, personalization.
That's it. Personalization.
Yeah,
that's the part I got wrong. Yup.
That's okay. No, that's good, because I can't tell you how stupid I feel swearing to ChatGPT.
Oh yeah.
How many times do I have to tell you one step at a time?
Yeah.
Because, well, I don't know. That's kind of why I've gotten into computers, because I'm not going to let a piece of silicone beat me at the intelligence game.
Right.
Even though it does every day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're super stupid and super smart both at the same time. So.
Yep.
Right.
So I will put a link in the show notes. ChatGPT's behavior, and it'll link to this Discord chat thread that I created live while we're doing the show, which is something no one should ever be doing while they're podcasting. But
well, that's what you do, Dave. That's how you roll. It's
fascinating
how I roll. To
roll.
watch, folks. You would not believe how much work Dave is doing while he's talking. He's vamping away and he's typing in something else. I mean, it's almost like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that game where a yellow circle comes up.
Yep.
And in the yellow circle it says red.
Yes.
And you have to say the color of the circle.
The actual color. Yes.
Yeah, but not the word. And
right.
how it's so hard to do. So how you can type one thing and talk another, I don't know how you do it.
Sometimes I'm not sure. I've had similar experiences on stage, singing and playing the drums. Like there is I call it interconnected.
It's true multitasking.
It's interconnected independence. Like in drumming, it's limb independence, where you've got each of your limbs doing a different thing, but all kind of serving the same purpose. And when I learned how to sing and play the drums, what I did, because I'd already done it with 4 other limbs, or at least 3 other limbs, was I just thought of my voice as the 5th limb and how to fit it in, and the process that you take to sort of train your brain to do that is you're very intentional about it at first, like figuring out, okay, I'm going to sing this note and then hit this cymbal here and hit this drum here, and you work it out so that it's very mechanical, and do it over and over again, and then at some point it just goes click, and suddenly you're doing each of them, thinking about them without losing track of the other things most of the time. Most of the time.
That's the plan. 2 quick things from Discord, both from Soccer Hallways. He says Google Notebook podcast interact feature is cool. And then he asks, what happens when ChatGPT has a data breach? Same thing when your bank has a data breach and everything else.
Oh, no, it's much worse when ChatGPT has a data breach. Oh, yeah. No, I know that everything that I don't think of anything that I give to ChatGPT as private. Now, do I give it some things that I would prefer it never?
Right.
Yes.
Do I give NSA it some? Not have?
Well, or it's not so much the NSA. It's just people in general. There are parts of my life I keep private, and some of those have been things that I've conversed with ChatGPT about. Some business stuff, some personal stuff, all that stuff. And so I am aware each time I do that I am risking that being simply exposed to the public. Now, there are a couple of ways to mitigate that. Mitigate, not prevent. One is to use ChatGPT's temporary chats so that it's not learning from you, and they say they're not storing anything that happens in those temporary chats. Again, it is in my account, so maybe they certainly could store those things, but they say they don't. So okay, fine. If it's something super sensitive, then I'll do that. And the other is you create a sock puppet account with ChatGPT,
right?
But in order to get all the features, you'd have to pay double. You'd have to pay with your sock puppet account and with your with your primary account, and then it would be related to you somehow because you'd be paying for it with some form of payment that's yours. So the answer to me is I assume it will at some point all get out into the open, or it already is. I mean, they're saying they're using this stuff to train the engines to some degree, and you can read their privacy policy. It's pretty tight, but again, data breaches happen. Yeah. It's just, it's one of those things. Yeah. Ventmore has a quick tip for us, Pete, before we will get to cool stuff found very shortly. Yes. Ventmore says, did you know that if you select some text in the terminal, you can then go to another terminal window, select, not copy. This is the important part. So just highlight and select in one terminal window, go to another terminal window, and Command-Right-Click, and it will paste the selected text without ever going to your clipboard. And it's a weird thing. I did this as soon as I read it. I was like, well, what is it? What do they mean by this? Like Ventmore explained. And Ventmore was very clear. The instructions were exactly spot on. It just didn't make sense to me. It's like, wait, I'm not
hit the clipboard.
Yeah, I'm not copying. Yeah. And so it was a really interesting
Command-Right-Click. Okay.
Yeah, Command-Right-Click, and it just takes that text and puts it in. I don't know what it's going to take to get that into my fingers' muscle memory. And the reason is because I use a clipboard manager, I will put things on the clipboard willy-nilly without even thinking about it because I know I'm not going to lose the last thing I put on the clipboard.
I'm trying to think of a use case for it. Why would you want it from one window to another? Haven't you already run the command and then the up arrow just repeats the last, in sequence? But there's another quick tip for you. You use the up arrow to get to your previous commands.
Yes, that is right. Yeah, in most terminals.
Yes.
In most shells. You might not be copying a command to paste in. You might have a directory listing on one side and then issuing commands in another, and you don't want to jump around. So you're copying any text, not just text that you've typed in. Obviously, when you're pasting it or causing it to be typed in for you, because it's not actually pasting.
Right. Okay.
Then that's in a user input field. But yeah. So passwords would be one, potentially copy a password from a file, or not copy, but expose a password, select it. Again, I'm trying to figure out. I would love to know some use cases of this. Maybe I'll ask in the quick tip thread in there, and we'll figure it out. All right, folks. Look, we all spend a lot of money on our Apple gear, our Macs, our iPads, our iPhones, maybe even Apple Vision Pro for Adam, right? When you want to check your email while looking at things like a futuristic sci-fi villain. But are you really getting the most out of these devices? That's where our sponsor and our friends at ScreenCastsONLINE come in. For nearly 20 years, yes, they've been at this longer than YouTube. ScreenCastsONLINE has been helping us Apple users level up with in-depth, easy-to-follow video tutorials. Each week, they drop a 30 to 45-minute Apple-related deep dive, plus a shorter tip video. That's over 1,400 tutorials covering everything from macOS and iOS to the best third-party apps you didn't even know you needed. And the best part? It's for all skill levels. Whether you're just discovering keyboard shortcuts or you're scripting BB Edit to organize your entire life. Not that I do that. Okay, well, sometimes maybe I do. Look, their team of expert presenters includes Don McAllister, who founded the company, Lee Garrett, who's running the company now, Darcy Haggerty, Mike Schmitz, and, of course, new listener, the legendary Allison Sheridan, all sharing their knowledge and enthusiasm for Apple gear. And yes, you even get access to their digital magazine featuring guest articles from Mac Sparky and more. Don't get caught using your Mac at half its potential. As an MGG listener, you get 20% off a monthly, quarterly, or, for the best value, annual subscription. And this discount will be applied with each renewal for as long as you remain a ScreenCastsONLINE member. That's right, 20% discount is for the life of your subscription. Go to screencastsonline.com/MGG and choose your plan so you can get access to the whole ScreenCastsONLINE library right away. Again, screencastsonline.com/MGG. And our thanks to ScreenCastsONLINE for doing what they do and for sponsoring this episode. Woo! And now, without further ado, cool stuff found. Dan brings us in. He says, I'm not sure if you follow Matt Gemmell. I think that's how we pronounce Matt's name, on Mastodon. But he just came back to the Mac after years of being an iPad-only author. So he's been posting interesting stuff about his return. One of the tips I just picked up was using a window management app called Rectangle Pro. Out of the box, it's pretty similar to Magnet and others like it. But it also has the ability to store whole workspaces full of apps and an interesting fling feature, and the concept of stashing windows, which I haven't mastered yet. There's a $10-day trial, and I believe it's $10. It is. It's $9.99 US. So, window management. I had not even heard about Rectangle Pro yet. Yeah. And it looks like the folks who make Rectangle app also have something called Charmstone that says you can use that to switch and launch apps with maximum efficiency, man. So, yeah. Ryan Hansen makes these. I'll have to check out Rectangle Pro. That's fascinating. All right, cool. Fun. On that same thread, listener Jim brings us a similar thing. He says, last week you recommended Randy Walker's desk pad, which I messed with and is kind of amazing, by the way. We messed with it at post-show. He says, I wanted to make you aware of a very similar macOS app that I believe also provides for virtual displays of varying aspect ratios while providing even more functionality. And it's called BetterDisplay. It's hosted on GitHub. And BetterDisplay Pro, even you get custom resolutions. The idea behind this is you're creating one of the things is you create this virtual display of an entire window so that when you're presenting in, a Zoom call or something like that, you get to control exactly what size, what characteristics that window has, and it's kind of separate from your other windows, which is pretty cool. So nice. I like finding more of these. BetterDisplay. Nice.
Yeah. Now, the cool thing about it, Dave, as I understand, is you're able to look at, for instance, we record in StreamYard, similar to Zoom. Yeah, you can actually control that window in StreamYard or in Zoom, vice having to have it on a second display. Is that not what display? I thought you were controlling it from within there. Okay.
No. Zoom and StreamYard don't have any ability to share control of it. It's just sharing your screen. The reason this is interesting is because it allows you to create a screen in a window, right? So, and you can set the size of that window and the characteristics of that window, all of those things to your liking. Now, in theory, you could put your mouse on the screen that is being shared and look at it in the courtesy monitor that Zoom gives you.
That's how it came across to me. Okay, yeah.
But you could do that anyway.
Well,
I have.
Yeah,
but the trick is, do you want to share a 27-inch screen on a Zoom call where some people are on laptops? That's where things get a little dicey. And do you want them to see all of your other windows in there? And with this, you get to choose.
Get total granular control.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, fun stuff.
Cool. All right.
You got one for us, Pete?
I do. Kent wrote in with Planck SSD for iPhone. And when I first looked at this, I went, where have I seen this before? Oh, it was at CES. Yes. He had one at CES. If you need an SSD for your iPhone, the Planck is from the same folks at ShiftCam. We'll be talking more about them in a minute. And, looks like a fun option. We'll put the link in the show notes. You can get a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte. It's super tiny footprint form. And for only $346,000, no, that's their goal to get it started. It is a Kickstarter. But for $125, $126, you get a 1 terabyte. For $200, you can get a 2 terabyte. And it looks like, and a Planck bank, two terabytes and a Planck bank. I'm not sure what the Planck bank does, for $239. Pair with the Planck bank.
Just so everybody's got this in their head, Pete and I get to read it, as does anyone who's watching the YouTube, but for everyone who's listening, it is Planck, Planck, K, which of course is related to or inspired by, the name was inspired by the Planck constant, which is what's the right way to think of the Planck constant? Is it the smallest?
The smallest, yeah.
Yep.
The smallest number. Or,
yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I had it. You know what is funny? When he mentioned it at CES, I had it right on the tip of my head.
You did?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is what we did. Yeah. I remember it from chemistry and physics, but yeah, because it's from Planck's constant. But
which is something very small.
Yes.
So that's why they kind of went with this. So yes. I'm sure many people will tell us what Planck's constant is, and we appreciate that. But there you go.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of ShiftCam, so if you need an SSD, and this thing will go at 10 gigabits per second if you have an iPhone Pro. And the reason they created this was to be able to shoot high-res video straight to SSD without any issues. Yeah.
To record and
Yeah.
So, for those watching live, I'll do it. Obviously, we'll have it up in the show notes too. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the ShiftCam SnapGrip Pro. Saw this at CES too, and it's basically a Bluetooth shutter button and power bank that connects to your phone, giving you the feel of a DSLR camera.
Yeah, the idea, I'll see if I can describe this for people who are listening. It like Pete said, it's MagSafe. The MagSafe portion of it, one side of it ends with the MagSafe, so it's not blocking your cameras. And then the other side is about the same width as your phone and comes down, and the battery is in the shape of the bump that you would hold a DSLR camera with, and it's got the shutter button right where you would want it. Right. So for all those videos that I did at like CES and NAMM, this is what I was using to do that. Because it just meant I could just pull my phone out, and it's really easy to take, especially video, but even pictures with one hand with your iPhone. So yeah,
and
pretty cool thing.
So I just turned it on, and then it starts charging my phone again. So that's really cool. And then here's the other thing. They have a bunch of ring lights and stuff like that, too, that mount to the front of the ShiftCam handle. And I can show you with, for instance, my SnapGrip wallet, that it MagSafes right onto the front of that, too. So it's a pass-through.
I don't think it's not a pass-through.
No. Okay, it isn't a charging pass-through, but it's
Correct.
A magnet that allows you to continue to use the MagSafe features of your
Correct.
phone, even though you've put something on there. And by the way, the SnapGrip wallet does the same thing. The SnapGrip wallet on my case allows me to pass the magnet through there too, so it even makes it a little thicker, but it makes it so much nicer, as you noticed, Dave, at CES, to film one-handed. You're just so much more steady because you've got a more solid grip on the phone. It's just less shake. You're less likely to drop it. You're less.
It made videos way easier to take because not only did I have that steadiness, I could use my other hand to manipulate whatever the item was. Or if I want to literally grab the item with one hand and film it with the other. Yeah, it really made things interesting. So $70 on Amazon. We'll put a link in the show notes to that. While we're here, though, you buried the lead, or teased up, I should say.
Yeah, I did. There you go.
Another cool stuff found. So tell us about the OhSnap SnapGrip wallet.
So the OhSnap SnapGrip wallet, this is a really cool piece of gear, too. It holds up to 8 cards, they claim. I think they said 8 or 900,000 cycles on the spring. It's got but it's MagSafe, connects right to the back of your phone, and it's a great way to take a few credit cards and your driver's license and maybe your health insurance card, whatever you want. But it also has like the regular SnapGrip. I hate using the term, but it's they were the first, right? It was the pop socket capability of it. So there's, it's got the one finger hold, the full rotation. It's got, it snaps into place so that it creates a stand.
For some reason, I did not realize that this is it's a metal and plastic, I would assume, wallet for your phone. You mentioned the hinge in passing without explaining it. So instead of like most wallets where there is a stretchy piece of fabric that holds it together, this one, there is actually a hinge in there, and it like that's
hundreds
what holds
of thousands
it together.
Of cycles without failing in their testing.
It's not cheap. It's $80, and you can get it at ohsnap.com. But yeah,
I do recall being able to get it for $65 if you're a first responder. Or maybe there was I think there was also a discount if you signed up for email updates.
Oh, okay.
That sort of thing as well.
Great.
So, but I think it was $65 for first responders.
All right.
Military veterans, teachers, that sort of thing.
Got it.
But love this thing. I've been using it probably for 3 or 4 weeks now, and I don't intend to go back to my thick wallet that was giving me back pain and numbness in my leg.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But it's a great way to go out with just your phone and not forget your driver's license or your cards and a whole lot less easy to lose. How do you say that? A lot easier to keep track of because it's connected to your phone. And how often do you lose your phone? You don't leave that around.
And the key to me is I am someone who wants a grip on my phone. I currently use pop sockets, and I have two. I have one that's just a pop socket. That's the one with my Gig Gab podcast logo on it. And then I have one that's a wallet with a wallet and a pop socket. That's the one with the Mac Geek Gab logo on it. And I switch back and forth depending on what I need. I will not use a wallet on my phone that doesn't have some sort of grip in it. Yeah. And the OhSnap or the Snap wallet from OhSnap definitely has a grip. So that opens up the possibilities as far as I'm concerned. I got to check this out. All right.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about it, as I said, was it allows you to the magnet is not a charging pass-through, but the magnet passes through. So you can mount your phone to your refrigerator, to your car fender, to anything metal, it'll magnet itself. Well, anything magnetically metal, it will attach to.
Dan brings us our next cool stuff found with something for creating Gantt charts called Aeon, A-E-O-N Timeline. And Aeon Timeline, he says, I went looking around recently for a way to quickly do a Gantt chart for tracking an upcoming event and looked at ClickUp.com and Monday.com, and both seem to have a lot more of a learning curve than I wanted to deal with. I realized that an app that I bought years ago called Aeon Timeline was really all I needed. He says it has its own learning curve as well, but the recent version has made things way easier to enter. There are several interesting ways to look at the same data. So if you ever want to plan things out, this might be a great way to go. So for building those charts, Gantt charts for your project. Gantt charts are the things that kind of go across in a horizontal line showing where the horizontal line is the date range, and you can see where bits and pieces of projects overlap and all that good stuff. So this seems interesting. I'm looking to see it's $65 to own it forever, and there is a free trial. So yeah, cool. And you you own it forever with a year of updates, and then after you buy it for $65, if you want an additional year of updates, it's $35. So whenever you want that update. So yeah, cool. Thanks, Dan. Good stuff.
Nice.
Russ, on the subject of AI and LLMs,
large language models, and
all those things, Russ has some comments for us. He says, I heard about Perplexity, a different LLM, when listening to Mac power users, and I gave it a shot. It has quickly become so useful to me that I'm paying them $200 a year for it. It's free for simple queries and 3 to 5 complicated pro queries. The paid version has a deep dive that floored me. It's sort of a privacy issue, so I don't want to send the question and answer, but I asked it to give me advice on 3 grad school programs my daughter has been accepted to, and the result was fantastic. Oh, and the paid version lets you access Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I think 3.7 is out now. Sonar, GPT-4o, Gemini 2 Flash, or Grok 2 if you want to also use them. So far, I just use the default optimized for fast search. I write song intros for our band. He says, I tried using ChatGPT and was really loving the conversational way it worked. But when it told me that Paul McCartney sang Moon River during a concert as a tribute to Andy Williams when he died, and I used that in an introduction until I wanted to hear it and couldn't find it on YouTube, I asked ChatGPT for the reference and it told me, oh, I was confused. He says that at that point I went back to Perplexity. I also asked Perplexity to find it and it said there was no reference to that. I have a Perplexity space for introductions. I've loaded a couple files that I tell it are instructions to follow. Yep. I've loaded samples of introductions I've written, and I'm training it to help me research songs and write intros in my style. Very cool. Yeah, I think with any large language model, when it starts presenting you with facts, one of the best questions you can use is, are you sure? Because that will let it go and find out. What I love is something they've added to ChatGPT recently, where you can choose to tell it to do deep research, and you click the deep research button. For example, an episode of Geek Gab podcast is coming out same day, March 3rd. We recorded it before this one, and we were talking about Bob Dylan, and my friend Paul Kent, who is known to many of us here and was back on Geek Gab for a week, he said, gosh, is Bob Dylan the most covered artist of all time? And I thought, well, that's interesting. And so I was having this conversation after we recorded. And I thought, wait, we can, there's an engine that will do this research. So I told it, do deep research. And I asked it that question, and it came back with a follow-up, like, what's the criteria to use? And it was, the criteria we chose was the number of recorded cover versions of their songs. And so it came up with a top 10 list, I think. And the Beatles were number 1. Bob Dylan was number 3. Duke Ellington was number 2. And that made a lot of sense because of, Take the A Train and Sophisticated Lady and all the other things that Duke wrote that have been covered countless times by so many jazz artists. It doesn't surprise. What surprises me is that the Beatles are above him. But because it did the deep research, it gave all of those sources. It's like, here's where I found this data. Here's this. And it probably, once it had its instructions, ChatGPT told me, all right, this is going to take about 15 minutes, come back. And sure enough, 15 minutes later, it was ready to rock. So,
Dave, I'm surprised because I would have thought that the most covered one was Morris Albert. Feelings, nothing more than feelings.
So
how many people sang that damn song?
Here's what's interesting. No, it's interesting because I had Take the A Train wrong. I don't think ChatGPT did. I attribute Take the A Train to Duke Ellington. Billy Strayhorn wrote that, as Dr. Dream points out, and it was Duke Ellington was absolutely the first person to make it famous,
make it big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I have a cool stuff found for us here, and that is, I love backpacks, and I need to always be careful when deciding to review or talk about a backpack here because there's so many of them that it's just like, well, here's another backpack with more zippers and all that stuff.
So is this the one we saw at CES?
It is not yet the one we saw at CES. Hopefully we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So what I am looking for are things that are different than just iterations on a standard theme of backpacks. And we found one from a company called Portland Gear, and they call it their Cascade backpack. The first thing that jumped out at me was the price. It's $98 for this thing. Now, that's about a half or a third of the price that most quality backpacks that you're going to buy for your computer cost. So that alone was something. But what really caught my eye is the way that this thing opens. Instead of having a zipper at the top that opens to a kind of, tiny little opening that you have trouble and you got to see things. This thing it opens, I'm trying to think of how I would describe this, but it kind of opens, I'll say like a grocery bag, but whereas the top of it opens just as wide as the bottom, and you get this huge container to put things into. And the top of it has it's a metal frame inside of the backpack material. So when you zip it up, it holds its shape. It still stays very lightweight. You can carry it obviously as a backpack. It also has handles if you just want to carry it kind of like a grocery bag. But a great thing for packing things into, it's got a sleeve for your laptop, a sleeve for like an iPad or something like that, other little pockets inside. It's got extra pockets on the outside as well. So you certainly aren't without to me, you're not really missing anything. And to get something out of the bottom of the backpack, you don't have to take everything else out to get there. You can kind of move things around because you have this huge opening when you want it. It's also got a secret pocket for your, for your like passport and money and things like that. And it's got little holders in there for phone and snacks and all those things. But man, and it's got luggage straps so you can put it on your luggage. This thing is amazing. The worst part about it, Pete, is they sent me one. And because it was Lisa who told me about this, after I am finished reviewing it, I am told at home that Lisa is going to be the one who takes this as her primary. And I don't know if I'm happy about that, Pete, but for $98, I might just buy myself one. So, and right now it's like $98 and buy one, get one 50% off. They've got a sale going on. So for $150, you can get two of these, and that's still less than you would pay for another backpack. I think Pete wants to say some things, but I don't think he wants us to hear them because his mute button is on.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, well, so the price is right, but yeah. So what you should do is buy two. I'll split the cost. We each get one for $75.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. No, these things it's really, I was shocked. It's such a brilliant design.
This looks like a really cool flight briefcase backpack.
Yes.
Folks, yeah.
Well, and that's the beauty of it it's not, despite the size of the mouth of this, it's not large by backpack standards, right? It's a standard size and feel of a backpack. So you're not giving up, you're not taking something massively bulky with you or whatever. So yeah, I'm really kind of blown away by this. I can't believe no one else has done this before. Right. That's the part that was like, oh, this kind of seems obvious. Like, what a way to solve that problem. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It comes in all kinds of different colors and all that stuff. But yeah, actually that would be the way. I think they sent me either a black one or I think it was a black one must have been black. So maybe I'll take that one and buy Lisa one in a color of her choosing when we buy buy one and get one, Pete. So
there you go.
Yeah. Fun stuff. So yeah. And there's a few companies out there doing different things with the whole backpack design, and I'm here for it. And good news is you're also going to be here for it because we've got a couple others to come up. But this one, it's going to be hard to beat for me. All right, folks, I love efficiency, right? Whether it's tech, automation, or getting a killer meal without spending hours cooking. And that's why our sponsor, Factor, is one of my favorites. Chef-made, dietitian-approved meals ready in 2 minutes. I recently had their Tuscan pork chop with cauliflower rice. Super delicious, super healthy, super easy. Look, if I could install some kind of like SSD or something in my stomach to speed up digestion so I could eat more Factor meals in a day, I might do it. With 40 weekly options across dietary preferences like keto, calorie smart, and protein plus, Factor makes eating well ridiculously easy. No chopping, no cleanup, just delicious food that keeps me fueled for deep dives into my Mac system logs. Don't get caught wasting lots of time cooking when you can eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Then use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. You got to check it out. You're going to love it. And our thanks to Factor for sponsoring this episode. All right. Deborah has one for us. She says, recently you talked about Tapestry from Icon Factory in episode 1076, a piece of software, a new app that will aggregate many social media networks and RSS feeds and things like that. Deborah says, I thought it was worth mentioning that the new version of Reeder, 3 E's, R-E-E-D-E-R, also consolidates multiple social media, including video and podcasts, as well as RSS feeds and subreddits into a single chronological feed. So I used to use Reeder when I was doing RSS on a regular basis for things, and really had kind of walked away from it for a while because I walked away from RSS. But now knowing that it does all of this, I might have to dig back in. It looks like there's podcasts and all kinds of things. This is interesting. Thank you, Deborah. Great stuff. Love that.
Very nice.
Yes. Yes. Pete, last week, I think it was last week, we talked about displays. And we were talking about the layouts of displays, and we've been excited about the upcoming 5K display from ViewSonic that we saw at CES. And so we got some emails about that. Mark K 2473 wrote in and said, I've had the LG 5K sitting next to a BenQ PD32 4K on my desk for a while. And it is, he says that the scaling on this monitor is fantastic. The BenQ, of course, needs to be down-resed for proper scaling to that 2560 resolution, but still looks great. Hardly a difference between the two doing photo and video editing. That's great. And he says, my personal opinion is that if you have only one screen, I'd gladly take the 32-inch over the 27-inch for the screen size and give up the very slight, almost imperceptible difference in quality. And this BenQ 32-inch screen, 4K, is $550. I have not tried a 32-inch screen yet, and it's because I've been trained that 27 inches for a 5K screen at that resolution, with the retinized resolution that we talked about in the last episode, is the thing. And this still does retinized resolution, right? This one, but it's slightly larger, and you're going 4K to 5K. I have 4K screen to my right doing that retinized thing, as I mentioned, and actually the one in front of me. I keep forgetting this Philips screen is not 5K. So maybe it would be okay. Maybe I should test out something like this BenQ and see how I like it. Yeah.
You can easily get too large, though. At least that's been my experience. I briefly had a 27-inch iMac, and I found it uncomfortable to work with. If I was writing pages. Now, what I needed to do was then, crush the window down, downsize the window that I was writing in, that sort of thing. But I always felt like overwhelmed. I was too close, and there was too much screen real estate in front of me. Now, if I was doing online trading and had charts and graphs and trade windows and that type of thing, and obviously the things you're doing, running this show, you've got things queued up and ready to go on one monitor, your notes on another monitor. That's needed. That's necessary.
Even for my daily workflow, I am a 227-inch monitor person.
Wow. Okay.
I have. Well, and this is actually an interesting conversation. We do have one other monitor to talk about, but on my main screen is in front of me. My secondary screen is to my right. That's just how my brain and everything works. So, but I'm curious what you folks do. So, on my main screen, the just slightly right of the slightly more centered than left, but it is on the left side of the screen is a full height email window, right? So I have full height email. My dock remains on the left side of the screen because I have more horizontal real estate than I do vertical real estate. Most screens are oriented that way. So I figured, well, I don't want to give up my height for my dock. So my dock lives on the left. After the dock is a full screen email. And then after that, moving to the right is a full screen Safari. That's my primary sort of work thing is email and browser right in front of me. Off on my right screen, I have my messaging apps, Slack and Messages stay up, and WhatsApp these days stay up all the time. And then I have other things. Oh, and Discord lives over there too, right? So I have those four as kind of my primary anchors of that screen. And then other things. My calendar either lives behind or in front of my email and browser because I want my calendar to be a wide window, or my calendar is the one thing that I am constantly moving from screen to screen depending on what my workflow is. If I'm talking with someone in Slack on the right screen, I move my calendar to the left. If I'm doing something with email, my calendar to the right so that I can have those things up front. But I'm curious how everybody else does it. That might be an interesting topic for a hangout. So that we can all kind of share and see what everybody does.
Yeah. And plus you have your stand-up desk.
It's an adjustable desk. It's either standing or sitting. That's right. Yeah.
But you use it standing a lot, right? I mean, and that allows you, well, I guess with a rolling chair, you can back up and get what you need. But it seems to me you can easily adjust and shift and move to.
Yeah. I stand. It's interesting. I go through phases where I will raise my desk up for some reason, and then for like 2 weeks, it will just be up. And then I'll lower it down for some reason, and so for 2 weeks, it'll just be down. I don't have like I am starting the day, and therefore my desk will be standing. When I first got my standing desk, I probably used it for almost a year, and then I got a cold and just found myself exhausted, because my body was like fighting off this cold or whatever. And I moved my desk down. I'm like, I got to be able to sit. And so I brought over my chair and obviously sat down and it was like, oh yeah, I forgot. This is kind of nice. So it's more about how my body is feeling on any given day.
Okay.
But I will say if I have to lead a Zoom meeting or if I'm a little bit stressed about like, I'm a little anxious about, this is an important meeting or whatever, I will stand up for it. I find that I am more attentive, more energetic, all of those things if I'm standing. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was one of your early tips for podcasting. Stand up.
Stand up. We stood up. Yeah, we stood up I stood up. I don't think John ever did. I can't remember. Yeah. But certainly for the first almost year of this, I stood up. And I probably still would if the layout in my studio room allowed me to stand up. But the way I've put things in here.
Yeah, you're in that dormer there.
I'm in a dormer.
Less.
Yeah, I have thought about orienting things 90 degrees, and then I theoretically could stand up, and I don't know. We'll see someday. Yeah. The other monitor that was recommended as part of this came from MarbleWraith, and he says it is the Acer Predator XB323QX 32-inch 5K display. He says it won't launch in North America until Q3 of this year, but they were showing it off at CES as well. And so, again, 32 inches, but this one's 5K. No pricing that we have seen, but it sure looks interesting. So, yeah, the Digital Trends said that they liked the way it looked. So, it's full 5120 by 2880. So half of that, you get that to 2560 by 1440 resolution. So, we will see. But I'm excited about all these things. So, all right,
nice.
We still got some time here. What do you got?
I do. So, and let me start off with, if you think you don't need one of these, you're wrong. You should have one of these. I love doing this, Dave, going nuts in the back. Stop it. Look, the day before my daughter graduated from high school, she totaled my truck. Thank you. I love that truck. But I love my daughter more. And the good news is, look, the fire department and the police department in our town, those guys, I talked to them later, they rolled up. They said, there's going to be fatals. This one's bad. And fortunately, my truck and the other drivers all involved were doing the right thing, except for the guy who kind of caused everything. Didn't get a scratch and kept going and was never seen from again. But
Sure.
that's a whole nother thing. The point is, my daughter saved a ticket. She was at fault for the crash, but the video proved that she was not texting and driving. She was not distracted driving. She wasn't speeding. She wasn't following too close. All those things. And the compliment.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I believe you've buried the lead for too long. The video from what, I asked?
Video
Pete.
from what? The dash cam. So if you think you don't need a dash cam, you do. I promise you do. It'll save you on insurance. It'll save you, from being accused of something in court, whatever. This one is cool. I got the NextBase Piqo 2 Smart Dash Cam with it, and they have a mobile app that comes with it as well. I installed this thing I already have one in my truck. I installed this thing in Mac's car. If it took me 12 minutes, I'd be shocked. I'm sure it was under 10 minutes from the time I took it out of the box and had it all wired in and ready to go. It was a super quick and easy install. Now, this particular one, the Piqo 2, is only a forward-looking. So it won't prove that you weren't texting and driving or distracted driving or anything like that. But it has a super nice wide angle that covers everything in the front. If you get there's another cable you can get with it, and it allows you to do what's called smart parking. So if someone hits your car while it's parked, it turns on, or if someone's vandalizing your car, it turns on, and you can get video footage of that. It has a witness mode. You say next you start witness mode, and it sends an SOS signal to a friend, an SMS to a friend or loved one, to let you know that, hey, may need help or whatever. I originally bought one when I got hit by a guy, and the cops wouldn't write him up because he was a selectman in the town we were in. Oh. Yeah. Huh. And so I went, okay, that just cost me my $500 deductible. And
exactly.
And that was kind of crap. But I have provided video. Like, I've seen accidents happen in front of me and have provided video to the cops. Go, hey, here you go. Here's what happened. And they're like, oh, thank you, man. That saves me all this time investigating and trying to sort out who's saying what. And I absolutely love having a dash cam in every one of my vehicles.
So is this Piqo still available? Because it looks like it's not.
Interesting.
At least not on Amazon. Like the product listing is there.
Yeah,
but
I wonder if NextBase may have it. I'll look real quickly. And see if NextBase has it on theirs, because that's what I got from NextBase at CES. And
got it.
Was,
maybe it's
like I say,
maybe it's new then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've got another one coming out that's forward looking, back looking, and has the app. You can call up and look at your car while it's parked. And you do need to get a second. This isn't one that just plugs into your cigarette lighter type 12 volt.
Okay.
Power supply. This is a cable that actually goes down, and I believe it mounts into, do you remember what it's called, Dave? There's that plug system that, I can't remember the name of it. But
OBD2 or whatever?
Yeah, the onboard diagnostic thing. It plugs into that as a plug through so that it's constantly powered, and that's how you can call up what's in front of my car right now from the other side of the planet.
Yeah, you can buy you can buy the 2K for $99 at Piqo, at nextbase.com. So we'll put a link in there. Yep. Yeah, and it looks like this other one is going to be double the price to do maybe a little bit more. Yeah, do all those other things.
But uber smart. I'm eager to try this other one out, and since see, Debbie didn't have one in her car when it got totaled a couple months back. Oh, man, that stinks. Man. She was literally sitting in her parking spot, and it just just started the car when she got hit in the parking spot, and it totaled her 1.5-year-old Volvo.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
these are the things
fortunately, the woman admitted, hey, it was my fault. I hit her, and then, so there was
Sure.
no dispute. But had the camera been there definitely would have been no dispute, even if the other driver had said, no, she backed into me.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. So.
All right, we have a couple more cool stuffs found that we're going to go through here. The first is from our Stanley in our Discord. We were talking last week, I believe, recently, about the iPhone 16e and its lack of MagSafe. Well, for $10, you too can buy a case for your iPhone 16e that adds a MagSafe ring in exactly the right spot. And in fact, it's even less than $10 because there's a 10% coupon for the $9.99 price. Yeah, so they say it's got military grade drop protection. It's from Soupfine. I'm sure there are brands whose names we know that will also make cases, and maybe we would potentially trust more, although some of these are fine. I would obviously just test it out before you truly rely on it. But for the MagSafe part, that's pretty easy to test because you just put it on. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can certainly add MagSafe to these things, which is not different from what iPhone, 10 owners were doing for a while, or Android phone owners do. Like this Qi 2 is essentially MagSafe, right? And so you can find these and add them to lots of phones, which is great. So thank you for that, R. Stanley. On the subject of cases, and speaking of the cases and things that my wife likes, the Speck Presidio Lux MagSafe case. This is one of the best looking cases I have seen because it's clear and has these flowers all over it, and it's MagSafe. She's got it with her new pink iPhone 16, and it looks fantastic. I'm speechless about this. Cases to me are things that I buy to be functional. And certainly, you get something that represents your style or whatever. But a lot of times it's certainly function and over form when it comes to these kinds of things. And that's something that's totally fine. We saw this one. We got it for her, and when it arrived, she was like, this is amazing. Lisa never sends me selfies. The first thing she did was go in front of a mirror with her iPhone and take a picture of the phone and her. Because of how great the case looked. I was like, you're in this picture, right? She does not like being in pictures. And she's like, yeah, but look at the case. Like the case is amazing. It looks fantastic. So not inexpensive. It's $50, but it's spec and it's spec quality, and it's got MagSafe and Click Lock and all of those things. It's the Presidio Lux MagSafe case.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's really. That on their site they have it with the white or silver iPhone or whatever. They really should show it with like the pink or a blue or something. I realize why they're doing what they're doing, but it pops when there's a color underneath it. So just wanted to share that. Yeah. On the subject of clicking, Mark M has a suggestion for a cool stuff found called SuperClick, and this is a piece of software. It sits in the menu bar, and it converts, optimizes, edits images, videos, audio, and documents at superclick.app. It is free while in beta, and it's just your kind of all-in-one converter. Man, I have been using Permute for a while to do these kinds of things, but this, because I have to convert a lot of things often. Will it? And it'll download videos from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc. You can convert things, compress PDFs. Oh, what? Okay. Oh, yeah, I got to check this out. Yeah, it's free now, and then a standard license. Oh, if you get your free license during the beta, it remains $0. All right. Well, I know I got to just. That's fine.
Afford that?
Yep. No, I'm downloading now. So go download now. Quick. Yeah, great stuff. Fun. So much cool stuff found.
right?
I want to stay on cool stuff found, Pete. We're not going to do any questions today.
I have a question, Dave. Can we do more cool stuff found?
While we're on the subject of cool things and cool, really just cool boxes, Corky, while we were at Macstock, told me about this thing called the VSeeBox, and you have something similar to one of these, Pete. The VSeeBox is a TV set-top box, we'll call it. And what it is it's a streaming box that connects you to all kinds of things on the internet to stream stuff you didn't know you could stream. Now, I don't know. You are responsible for whether or not this is stuff that your local jurisdiction allows you to stream, but it's sure not going to stop you. So, don't get caught for sure. But it's at VSeeBox, the letter V, SEEBOX. And there's several different versions of this thing. And I'm looking at the latest model. It is, can I buy one? Where do I order this thing from? I can't.
VSeeBox.com. Can you buy it there?
No, that's what I'm saying is I don't know where I can buy these things from. VSeeBox order application. If you have any immediate order needs, please fill in the order form and we will see if we can fill. So this must be one of those things where they build them in bulk and then kind of, in batches, I should say, and then ship them out. But yeah, really interesting thing. You have one of you don't have the VSeeBox, but you've got something similar.
Formular, F-O-R-M-U-L-E-R, and I have the Z8. They're up to the Z11. I would highly recommend that. I've started having some issues with, I screwed up and put I don't know that I screwed up. My TV speakers sound terrible, right? So I put a sound bar on, and the only method of getting the sound out is through the ARC, the audio return cable, HDMI, and it seems to be messing with the remote controls of both the Formular box and the television itself. I wound up having to reset the television and use my phone to make the remote work. But these things are amazing.
Looking at the VSeeBox on the web and then looking at the Formula, they are the same.
The same box. Yeah.
They're the same box. So it's an Android. It's an Android device that's doing the processing and all the magic and their custom software and all those things. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I took a 2 terabyte external drive and stuck it on there so that it will time shift a little bit for me. It'll record shows. It does not do. It's not like the ability that the other services give you to record a series, but you can record a show or record a movie. You can time shift a little bit. You can pause and return to where you were on live TV. So that's nice. Those will have that on the back. Mine has on the back an HDMI, a Cat5 or an Ethernet, and the USB, and obviously also the power, and a little remote IR thing so that you can hide the box in a drawer or something like that and just put a little tiny IR
What did you
receiver.
pay for this thing, Pete?
$210.
Okay. Wow. So, inexpensive. Is there a subscription that you need to be a part of here?
No. Well, any streaming M3U, it will handle an M3U, and I believe it has some of its own stuff. But it has a Google Play Store on there, so you can find other things there. But I happen to also have a streaming subscription that I paid $90 for 2 years for, and gives me a lot of channels that I'm assuming they must be legal, or they wouldn't have been able to sell them to me, right, Dave?
Don't get caught, Pete.
So
you can
here's
buy
the
this.
thing. I put in PIA VPN, and I VPN it.
Sure.
I stream all my content through Ontario or Montreal or Peru.
Interesting. So you can buy the Formula on Amazon, and I'll look to see if you can buy the VSeeBox on Amazon
looks
too.
like $195 for the Formula one. Yeah.
For the 11 Pro Max is is that. And yes, you can buy the VC boxes on Amazon for sure. So that's where you would get them. That's where they're reselling them. Interesting. Yeah, really. It's a fascinating market. Like I said, I'm sure there's a gray area here. There couldn't not be. But
and it is VSEE.
Yeah.
Not Victor Charlie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got links in the show notes, but yeah, you're totally right. Totally right.
I got an impromptu one if you want.
Go.
And I can
of course.
Chat about it. Yeah. So
we're basically at the end here.
The ShiftCam Pro handle, they also were kind enough to send me 3 lenses to try. And in a case, by the way, because the lens is
don't
attached
dangle them.
To the case.
They make way too much noise. Just tell us about them.
I'm gonna stop dangling. So I do have. They sent me a 60mm telephoto, which is really nice because essentially I go from my 35mm to my 60mm, which is halfway in between. When you go from one power zoom to 2 power zoom, that's 120. So this takes you to halfway between there. So without having to digitally crop, you can get a nice.
All right, so
photograph.
These
are lenses that attach to your iPhone case that you get also with it. So, and then I have some. They sent me 2 macro ones. A 10x macro. Oh my gosh! Take a picture of your thumbnail or something like that and get grossed out. Actually, I was able to get a nice shot of Abraham Lincoln sitting in his chair in the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the penny, the U.S. penny. So
that's great.
If people that don't know that, Lincoln's actually sitting in his chair in the memorial. So yeah, I got the 10x macro, and the other one is a 60. No, that's the wrong one. 10x macro. There it is. The other one's a 75mm long range macro, and by long range they mean you can be up to about 3 inches away. You don't have to be right up on there, so it's less likely to cast shadows. But we'll link
to these things. I want to explain. You're right that and what you did was got a case for your specific phone that has a place for these to screw into, but they also have a universal lens mount.
Oh, right. So you don't have to have a case.
Correct, and you can adjust it and adapt it to your phone to use it without a case and still fit these lenses on. It's not changing the lens on. I mean, the lenses that are on your phone remain on your phone, right? But this is adding on to that. And we've seen products like this over the years. It's been a little while since we've seen one. I think Olloclip was the company that was doing this a while back, and I haven't seen them do anything. I don't even know if they're still. They are no longer around. But yeah, this is the ShiftCam folks that developed these. And you can buy different kits. They've got bundles, but you know.
Right. And then, and I'll show you right here for those that are watching. Go to our YouTube feed and watch it. But here's the lens itself. It just fits right into the.
The case has an ability to screw the lens in.
The case has the ability to screw the lens in. Yeah, and there's a little adapter, and that's my nice 60mm telephoto, which takes some beautiful photos. I really enjoyed playing with this, and
fun.
Yeah.
All right,
have super
folks.
wide angle, all that kind of thing. Go in there and choose your own favorite for your camera needs.
Yeah, exactly. I will specifically link to all of the bundles so that you can find the right bundle that works for you. They've got a photography kit. They've got they've got all kinds of different ones. They've got a macro kit, a videography kit, an ultra wide kit, and you can mix and match, of course, with these kind of 2-lens kits.
But it takes your mobile photography to the next level. I mean, cool things you can do with these lenses. And plus, they've got a whole bunch of other stuff. Play around, looking around on their site, their tripods, their lights, their everything.
Yeah. So fun stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, in fact, is what we call it. Cool stuff found. You can send yours in to feedback@macgeekgab.com.
You heard him. Feedback@macgeekgab.com. And you also hear something else. Mr. Music, please.
That's right. Feedback@macgeekgab.com. Send in your questions. We will go back to our standard format next week with a little bit of everything and a focus on questions again. But it was time to talk through some of this cool stuff found. And I'm stoked about it. Yeah, we had some good stuff here.
Let me mention this real quick because we did skip over it. But we got some good, speaking of feedback, we got good feedback last week. I conflated two things.
No, Pete.
Right.
We skipped that section because I want to take a little time with it. Yes.
Okay.
All right. The don't get caught section.
We're going to talk about conflation next week.
We'll come back next week. I promise. But we're at the hour and 19-minute mark. It's no. We're not adding more.
Thanks for the feedback.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. Yeah. No, we can't. We got to. And I'm sorry to pull the rug. It just there's always
time.
There's always more we can add, and we have to we got to draw the line somewhere. So
we're going to draw it right here.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. MacGeekGab.com/giveaway is where you can go sign up for a giveaway, our giveaway with BZG apps for a copy of Unite, the latest version that solves lots of fun little problems for us. It worked flawlessly during the episode here, so I'm stoked about that. Frees me up to potentially upgrade to Mac OS 15 up here. Maybe I will. Mm-hmm. Thanks to CacheFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Thanks to you for listening, folks. Thanks to you for all the reviews at MacGeekGab.com/review. Make sure to check out Pete's other podcasts. So There I Was for aviation enthusiasts. My other shows are Business Brain for entrepreneurs, Geek Gab for working musicians. And even though Adam wasn't here, make sure to go check out his debut film podcast. I think you'll like it. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks. So much fun. I love being able to do this. What was that one app that I gotta go? That converter app. I forget the name of it. SuperClick. What's the other thing we can't forget, Pete?
Oh, you can't ever forget this, which is why I told you to get a dash cam. Don't get caught.
Made up.